Okay, good morning and welcome to the Signs of the Duwamish press conference here this morning. My name is Clay Eels. I'm the Executive Director of the Southwest Seattle Historical Society. And first off, I want to say that Seattle City Council member Lisa Herbold, I learned late last night, decided not to come this morning. We wish she could be here. Without her, this project would not have happened, as you will learn. So, but we still have the stars of the show. We have two leaders of the Duwamish tribe with us, and my role here is to just provide some introductory remarks and then bring up James and Ken and let it go. The occasion of this, of course, is to announce and celebrate the installation of 4 Duwamish Waterway signs on the entrance to and the exit from West Seattle, which is a pair of bridges, the high-level West Seattle Bridge and the low-level Spokane Street Bridge. There are 4 signs total, 2 on the high bridge right at the crest in either direction, and 2 here on the low bridge, 1 in each direction. And the reason we're here at this one on the low bridge is that it is the only one where we would not have conflict with auto traffic to be able to hold this press conference. And I want to let you know how this came about. Many of you may know that there was a wonderful book on the Duwamish River, on its history and its present and its promising future, that was released a year ago. And it's called Once and Future River. And I was at the book launch event for this at Town Hall about a year ago. The book is, the foundation of it is a series of stunning photographs by Tom Reese, who is here today, and he can answer questions about this. The afterword of the book was written by James Rasmussen of the Duwamish tribe. And so the photographer, the essayist, and the afterword writer were on stage talking about the book. And in passing, James Rasmussen of the tribe said, you know, it's kind of a shame that when you cross over the river, people who live here for a long time or newcomers don't even know what river it is they're crossing. Some of them don't even know they're crossing a river. And that planted a seed. The next morning, I happened to attend the West Seattle Chamber of Commerce annual awards breakfast. And I ran into Lisa Herbold, our recently elected district council member for the Seattle City Council. And I told her, you know, this would be a great thing for a district council member to do, to get some signs on the bridges so that people would know, just as James was urging, know that they are crossing not only a river, but a piece of fundamental Seattle history and where it all began. And she said, fine, send me an email. And over the course of this past year, she worked hard to get the Seattle Department of Transportation to create the signs and install them. They went up in the last week and a half. The final signs were up on March 27th. As soon as they were up, we decided we needed to celebrate this, and we're doing that this morning. We thank Lisa Herbold for all of her efforts, the Seattle Department of Transportation, and this is an historic occasion. A sign may not sound like a big deal, but in another sense, a sign is everything. If we cannot communicate about our past and about the fundamentals of our history, we're not doing our job. And the word Duwamish and all that it symbolizes is as important as the namesake of the city itself. So what I would like to do now is to bring to the podium first James Rasmussen and then Ken Workman. Both are leaders of the Duwamish tribe, and they will speak to the significance of having this kind of notice for the river. And you can feel free to ask them or me or Tom any questions you want. One quick little technical note, you may wonder, why doesn't it say Duwamish River instead of Duwamish Waterway? Well, that's because technically where we are is that the point where the river splits into two. It splits around Harbor Island, which is right beneath us, and it's at that point where it officially becomes the Duwamish Waterway. So that's why the sign reads the way it does. So we'll be back to answer questions, but James, why don't you come on up and talk about the significance of this and about why it's important for people to once again get to know the history of the Duwamish tribe and the present and the future of the Duwamish tribe. Thank you.
And if you would say and spell your name, please.
Good morning. My name is James Rasmussen. James, right? Okay. Rasmussen. I am a Duwamish tribal member. I served on the Duwamish Tribal Council for many years. Right now, I hold the position of coordinator or director of the Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition, which is a community advisory group to EPA on the Superfund site that is the Duwamish River, and the technical advisory group to the communities that are also on the river here. And one of the things that we noticed right away when we were doing the work on the river and over the years of working down here is the river's hidden. It's very much a hidden place. If you drive down East Marginal Way, you don't see the river at all. If you drive down West Marginal Way, if you know where to look real quick, you might catch a glimpse of the river. That's it. And most of the bridges that go over this river, until just recently, didn't tell you that what you were crossing, why there was a bridge there. And so I would definitely like to thank Clay Ells for the work that he did on this. I mean, be careful what you say in public because somebody might take you seriously. And so thank you very much, Clay, for the effort that you put into this. And it's something that I hope that you're very proud of because you should be. But the importance of having, as Clay was saying, signs and recognition of not just the Duwamish River, but people will ask, well, where does that name come from? And hopefully they will start understanding the history of this area a little bit more. As Clay was saying, everybody likes to try to call it waterway here. I'm still an old-fashioned guy. It's still the Duwamish River. Doesn't matter. That's what we're here for. And so now we're down to just one bridge that doesn't have a sign on it. So Clay, now you got to go to the state, okay? Because that's the First Avenue South Street Bridge. No sign on that at all. Now, when they put up the 14th Avenue Street Bridge, or the South Park Bridge, the community insisted that they call it the Duwamish River. And so that sign actually says Duwamish River on it. And so that was, when it was reconstructed, about, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But it's a happy occasion today. It's happy to recognize the help that Lisa Herbold has been on this, and the Seattle Department of Transportation of just going ahead and getting stuff done. And even a little thing like this is an incredibly important thing for people in the tribe, for the communities that are around the river, definitely for the people in West Seattle, and people that cross this bridge will now have an idea of where they are, and maybe a place in history. So Clay, thank you very much for the opportunity. And I'm going to bring up Mr. Ken Workman from the Duwamish tribe. He's actually current tribal council member and very, very active person in the community here as well.
Thank you, James. I want you to know, most of you know this, Ken Workman is the great-grandson of Chief Seattle. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you, Clay. Thank you, James. Wonderful introduction to the bridge and why we're all here. So while James explained a little bit about West Seattle and the history of the bridge, me, it's more personal. And that's because I grew up in the neighborhood. And so when I walk across this bridge, and I see this sign behind me, I go, oh, okay, I'm home. So there's a feeling that we have when we come back into Seattle, and we being Duwamish people, we go, oh, okay, I'm here. And so that's what this name symbolizes, that I'm back home, and that this bridge happens to be right about the location of the last longhouse that was in Seattle. And so this would be where my great-great-great-grandmother came from, this longhouse, Tualta, Herring House. And so there's a double meaning for me. And so it's wonderful to stand on the bridge and look out across the Duwamish River and look at the hills and see all of our wonderful friends who use this bridge every day. And so it's just a warm feeling that I have. So thank you.
So come on up here. Do you have any questions?
I do have one question.
Jim,
I'm wondering about
up to the podium.
the status of efforts to get federal recognition for your tribe. What's the update on that? And yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, what's the status of federal recognition for the Duwamish tribe? And currently we're back in Bureau of Indian Affairs. Our case has been resubmitted back to them, and so that organization is once again reviewing our petitions for federal recognition.
Do you regard this kind of signage as, a step toward kind of legitimacy or some form of recognition for the tribe?
Can you repeat that question, please? We had a big truck going by.
It's not much of a question, but to what extent do you view this kind of signage as sort of a step toward recognition or a form of recognition for the history of your tribe?
So the question is, in what form do we view this signage as a form of recognition to the tribe? Do I have that correct? It is, because as the Duwamish people and Native peoples all across this land, we're so often erased from the history books. And so even something as simple as a sign that says Duwamish, it says you're here, and we're right in the middle of a major city in America. And so this is, as I was alluding to a minute ago, it is wonderful to come home, to be in Seattle, a city named after my grandfather, and to see a sign like this. So to answer your question, yes, we do view it as a form of tribal recognition.
Last thing I have is, it's been pointed out that the Duwamish is a Superfund site.
Yes.
For many years, very, very polluted. Since this is historical grounds for the tribe, how do you feel about the efforts to get it cleaned up and be something that the tribe can be proud of again?
Go ahead.
Repeat the question.
The question is, how does the tribe feel about the Duwamish being a Superfund site? Is that?
And how do you feel about the efforts to get it cleaned up over the years?
And the efforts to get it cleaned up over the years. The tribe is in 100% support of cleaning up this river and returning it back to a state where we as people can simply go down to our river and fish and not be afraid of eating those fish. These are our friends, these are our cousins. And Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition is headed by James, is spearheading on our behalf that.
How do you feel about the progress, James?
Well, there's been a lot of work done on the river. It was designated in 2001 as a Superfund site. That's when DRCC, or Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition, became an organization. And it was in 2002 we became the community advisory group to EPA on this. So the tribe was one of the original founders of the Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition. And one of the important reasons for that, as you noted, the tribe is not federally recognized. And so, if you're a federally recognized tribe, you have a government-to-government relationship, you have a place at the table. In this sense, the tribe wouldn't have had a place at the table had they not been part of our coalition. And so now through the coalition, just as the communities and other groups that we have, like Fusion Soundkeeper, Washington Environmental Council, all kinds of different groups that are part of our coalition, have a place at the table and can really be active in what's going on the Superfund side. I'm going to tell it in a little different way. The way I was taught when I was a young kid, that the river and the places around here, one thing you should know today is that there's more variety of wildlife now on the Duwamish River than there is any place else in the city of Seattle. I'm going to say that again, okay? There's more variety of wildlife on the Duwamish River and around it than there is any other place in the city of Seattle. That's the big parks that we have and everything else. And for me, the way I was taught is that wildlife and like cedar trees and those things, they're part of my family, okay? Because just as I am native here, so are they. And so those are my cousins, my aunties, and my uncles, and I care about them. And so when you say, how do we feel about the effort that's been done, I feel real positive. Over half of the contamination has already been taken out in the early action sites that we have. Now we got a big job ahead, the other half, right? And sometimes it's the second half that's a little harder. But there's a lot of planning and everything else going on. I will say this. There are concerns throughout the cleanup effort and everything else because of our new administration. Cutting 31% of EPA's budget and other things that have already been cut have affected the cleanup here. We've come too far to slow down or stop this process now. We really need to be able to move ahead. And that's not just for the wildlife that are here. That's not just for the communities that are here. That's also for the industries that are here. Because right now they're right in the middle of something and they're not through it yet. They need to be able to get all the way through it so they can get healthy as well. And so it's really important that we think about those things as we listen to some of the rhetoric that comes from Washington, D.C. today. I think that it's incredibly important to keep the funding up for this project and get the job done. Okay?
Mr. Rasmussen, is there a particular project right now that's kind of in limbo, awaiting a decision, awaiting funding? I know that the cleanup is so many different components.
James, can you repeat the question?
I was asked if there was any particular project that's going on that has kind of been stopped or slowed down. And one that I can say right away is something called the pollutant loading assessment. It's something that started over a year ago. And what that is what's coming in from the watershed. There's a big modeling project that was being done with that. 2 weeks ago, we showed us the hydrological model, which it took that long to actually put that model together. It's a group called Tetra Tech that is one of the best people at doing this work across the country. They've done it on Hudson River. They've done it at different places. And at the end of that presentation on the modeling, the Department of Ecology actually came out and said, we're looking for help with modelers. So any agencies or anything like that has modelers within their staff, we would like to be able to talk to you about sharing some of those people. And that upset me. And it still does. One of the reasons that it is important is because this modeling is a very, very specialized skill. And when you're modeling watersheds and that type of stuff, it's much different than modeling traffic or modeling health or modeling other things that people do work on those type of things. And so that project right now is basically stopped because of we don't have the modelers. And I don't want to go beg to try to find somebody who might not be good enough for the job. It's one of the things that I've talked to Ecology about and EPA, can we go out and find somebody to fund this? And they hadn't thought about it that way. And so we're trying to work together with them just to keep this stuff going. I'm really the type of person that is not afraid to put a stick in somebody's butt and get it going, because it needs to be done.